What if I told you the greatest empire the world had ever seen, an empire that spanned 3 continents and lasted for over 1,000 years, didn't fall because of barbarian hordes or epic battles? What if the real reason was something far more insidious, something happening right under their noses? Today, we're diving deep into the shocking and often overlooked reasons behind the collapse of the mighty Roman Empire. Now, everyone knows the classic story, right? Waves of barbarians, like the Goths and Vandals, crashing against the borders, sacking the city of Rome, and poof, the empire is gone. And yes, those invasions were a massive problem, but they were more like the final symptoms of a disease that had been eating away at Rome for centuries. The real story is so much juicier. Let's start with the money. Imagine an empire so vast it was nearly impossible to manage, to pay for its massive army, its sprawling bureaucracy, and its lavish building projects. Rome needed cash, a lot of it. So what did the emperors do? They started debasing their currency. They would take a silver coin, the denarius, melt it down, mix it with cheaper metals like copper, and then mint more coins. It was a short-term fix, but it led to runaway inflation. Prices for everyday goods like bread and oil skyrocketed. People lost faith in their money. The entire economy began to seize up, and the gap between the ultra-rich and the desperately poor grew into a chasm. Sound familiar? But it wasn't just economic chaos. The political scene was a total mess. In just a 50-year period during the 3rd century, Rome had over 20 different emperors. Most of them were assassinated or killed in battle. This was the crisis of the 3rd century, and it created constant instability. How can you run an empire when the guy in charge might be dead next week? The constant civil wars drained the treasury and pulled legions away from the frontiers, leaving the borders vulnerable. The political system was broken, rotten from the inside out. And here's a really fascinating and toxic ingredient: lead poisoning. The Romans loved lead. They used it for everything: water pipes, cooking pots, wine sweeteners, even cosmetics. Archaeologists have found incredibly high levels of lead in Roman skeletons. What does chronic lead poisoning do? It can cause brain damage, lower fertility rates, and lead to a general decline in health. Some historians argue that this widespread, low-level poisoning slowly weakened the Roman population, especially the elite who used the most lead-lined products. It's like a silent killer that sapped the empire's strength over generations. Then there was the over-reliance on slave labor, with a constant supply of slaves from conquered lands. There was little incentive for technological innovation. Why invent a new machine to harvest wheat when you can just force thousands of people to do it for free? This stagnation meant the Roman economy never really evolved. When the conquests stopped and the supply of new slaves dried up, the system started to crumble. They had built their economic foundation on an unsustainable and brutal practice, and the bill eventually came due. So, when those barbarian tribes finally did break through, they weren't attacking a strong, unified, healthy empire. They were pushing on a hollow shell. They found an empire crippled by economic collapse, torn apart by political instability, weakened by environmental toxins, and stagnated by its reliance on slave labor. The fall of Rome wasn't a single event. It was a slow, complex, and agonizing decline. It is a powerful lesson from history. The most dangerous threats often don't come from the outside. They grow from within. What do you think was the biggest factor? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.